Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Screaming at Walls podcast. I'm Nigel. Down below me is Jakaya, and up above me is Matt. Glad to see everybody here with us today. If you're this far in, you've probably seen at least one of our videos, so you probably know what's going on right now.
Better have seen.
How's everybody doing today? Jakaya, your finger.
Without going on a tangent, I had an obnoxious day and my finger is broken. I do get the pins out on Monday though, so I'm excited about that.
Dude, you gotta send a picture like before and after post on the Discord.
I'm down.
Just because it'll be gross. Matt, you all done with that peanut butter cookie, bud?
I am, man. Thank you. I really appreciate it. I
Toxic
got
Nigel.
in
It's good.
between, so I didn't have to go. It's really good.
It'd have been funny. It'd have been good.
I'm sure you would have great laugh.
Okay. So today we're gonna be looking over a Young Turks video, which I don't think we've done any Young Turks stuff, which for probably what they would consider like a like an alt-right fucking podcast. Um it's kind of
I'm happy
weird.
to
I
do
don't know. Did any of you guys watch the Young Turks back before Trump, I guess?
it. Nope.
The Trump drove them up a fucking wall, man. They used to way back in the day. They weren't they were always pretty fucking left wing, but they were kind of like the Jon Stewart or um Bill Maher, kind of like they were just a little bit further than like those two guys. Um and they weren't terrible, but they were a little cringy. Um and they're relatively politically powerful. They actually, I think they're super. They're their pack, I guess. But they actually got Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez into office and stuff like that.
Okay.
So they're a relatively powerful group.
So they're a
They've
terrorist organization.
Sometimes I have straight up heard them make calls to
Anybody
violence.
who puts someone like AOC in office should be labeled a fucking terrorist organization because that woman is
Yeah.
fucking insane.
Well, and they have legitimately like Trump totally fucking broke their brains, dude. Trump just drove them off of a wall. He
I
lived
didn't know
rent fucking free in their heads, dude. Like they were pretty fucking left wing back in the day, and then Trump got elected, and they went like full bore like anarcho communists, like absolutely fucking crazy. And you'll see it in this video, and in this video, Joe Rogan talks a little bit. They build this big straw man and totally set it on fire. And it's wild.
what they
But
do.
yeah,
I've,
it's
I've seen
total.
a little bit of the I've seen a little bit of these guys in the
Mhm.
like it was actually post Trump is when I started these guys started picking up my radar, and so I
Yeah, yeah, I would imagine so. Again, they used to be really, really, really big. They've been hammered. If you go into their YouTube comments anymore, Jesus, dude, it's like everyone's a hate watcher. It's kind of fucking sad, if I'm being 100% here. But
aren't these who's like aren't these the same dudes or aren't these guys or H3H or isn't H3H3 and them have some kind of connection like you know how the Blaze has like Louder Crowder and Daily Wire and some shit.
Um, the only connection I can really see, it used to be the Young Turks really didn't like H3H3. Um, because Ethan Klein used to be really like super pro free speech, and pretty anti like the Anita Sarkeesian, gaming needs to get better, and everything's racist, everything's sexist, everything's homophobic, that kind of shit. The only real connection I know of between the Young Turks specifically and Ethan Klein and Hyla from H3H3 is Hassan. Hassan, who Hassan Piker is Cenk Uyghur's nephew. Um, and he left the Young Turks, did his Twitch thing, and now Hassan is on Ethan's podcast regularly. So that's
Yeah.
the only real connection I know between them explicitly, but even that's not necessarily the case because Hassan hasn't worked for the Young Turks in a while. He's still like in their orbit. Like when Hassan made his America Deserve 9/11 and Dan Crenshaw, didn't he get his eye? Isn't that how he lost his eye? Is that some brave mujahideen fucked his eye out?
This is why I can't say these dudes
Yeah.
because they stay off the wall shit. I mean, Ethan Klein just got banned for saying that the NRA building should be bombed.
Yeah, he made an explicit call for violence online. Yes. That's something you get banned for, yes. But he was only banned for like 3 days. Just throw it out there.
It's amazing, isn't it?
But yeah, Hassan went back onto the Young Turks. Like Cenk brought him on the Young Turks and put him in a suit and like pretty much walked him through an apology for that video. So that's the only real tie there is. But anyway, let's
I'm gonna say
go ahead.
it. I'm gonna say it. Hassan's a douche.
Hassan is a douche.
I know that didn't add a lot to the conversation, but every time we watch something or bring something up on him or fucking Vosh, it just like my whole brain does an eye roll.
Dude, there's a video I thought about pulling up for us about Vosh. Vosh has been getting some crazy fucking shit too. Vosh straight up thinks that in 2024 there's going to be an LGBT genocide, and that he is currently telling people on like his show that they should get guns so that the next time like there's like a Proud Boys thing or guys who are like the Trump guys who are like driving their trucks down the fucking roads and like a parade and shit like that.
Now new label
They should be
MAGAs, you mean?
Yeah, the ultra MAGAs, so that which is a great. I mean, that's great marketing.
Fucking love it. I fucking love it.
But Vosh was saying that leftists should get guns so that they can shoot them from their windows in the streets, and I was like, "Whoa, that's fucking spicy." Jesus,
is this dude related to Alex Jones? I'm just curious.
Dude, it's like the same. It's like the same. It's the same energy. Horseshoe theory is real. Is all I'm saying. I'm just saying, like the political spectrum goes like this: you're on the left, and then you go on the right, and then they kind of come together at the top. It's like I'm telling you, you guys say you're opposite, but you say a lot of the same shit.
You basically say it in representation of a different group, but that's really it. Like,
yeah. And everyone hates the Jews. That's the crazy thing. Like you get on either side of the far end, and they're just like the Jews.
Because I don't know, without trying to get too like I don't know, bigoted. It feels like they just kind of trying to do their own thing, right? Like of all the hate,
they've always only been trying to do their own thing,
right?
Yeah.
Like
for
all
the
this
last
stuff
2,000 years.
All this stuff in the middle, and the Jews are like, we just over here hanging out, and people are like, yeah, fuck you, and you're like, what?
They're the whipping boy, man.
Another genocide on its way, son of a bitch.
Yeah. You know, everyone's had that one thing or one friend that you fucking got to scream at, even though he did nothing, just because you're pissed off. It's like, God damn it, we just shut the fuck up for 5 fucking minutes. Like, what did I do? Like, you're just fucking here now.
Isn't it Eric? Isn't Eric the one that's always being yelled
Eric,
at?
or for me, it's a Nick. And yeah, so those are the Jews. Unfortunately, when shit goes wrong in Israel, it's like.
Well, I mean, I'm pretty sure it comes from Hebrew mythology and the Torah, the term scapegoat.
True.
And I mean, the Jews have been the world's scapegoat for way too long. When you have your own word to describe racism towards you, it's got to be pretty fucking bad.
True.
There is, like, we don't call racism to black people like anti-Africanism. But if you're racist towards Jewish people, it's called anti-Semitism.
That's fair. That's fair.
Oh, fuck. Anyway, enough talking about our Zion overlords.
Zion overlords.
Let's get into this
video.
I'm
waiting to see the new Buzz Lightyear movie, as long as it doesn't get woke. Oh, it's Zurg. I'm sorry, you said Zion.
Zurg.
The old TV show was better.
I agree. It was good as fuck. Anyway, let's hear what Joe has to say.
Groomer. A lot of people don't like that term online. They're very upset. But they're real. Right. There are groomers. You don't like it? Do you not like it because you don't want children to be groomed? Or do you not like it because it's a pejorative that's used against the left? Which is, I think, more likely. Yeah. Well, here's what's more important. Not have people groom your kids. That's what's more important than you getting
True.
True.
Comfortable with this word because it's used by people on the right.
Have you guys seen the OK Groomer stuff popping up online? I think I'm like the only person here on Twitter anymore. And I'm literally just on it to ask people that we're gonna do videos on, like, is it okay if we do something on your video?
That's fair. No, I'm not really on Twitter. By the way, your camera froze. Nigel, it was doing so well this whole time.
So good. So good. I'll leave it be. If you guys have the audio, it's fine.
Yeah, that's fine. But no, I haven't seen a lot of the OK Groomer stuff.
Okay. Okay. Matt, have you seen any of the OK Groomer shit going on? Did we lose Matt?
He rejoined, but his mic is muted now.
Damn it, Matt. Unmute yourself. You fucking savage.
Ooh.
About to get hit with the OK Boomer.
Son of a bitch.
Okay.
I did the I fucked up.
I made a boo-boo.
I fucked up. I went to click unmute and I clicked disconnect.
I'm so
Far
proud
too
of
close together.
But
Okay,
have you seen a lot of the
OK
OK Groomer shit coming up?
Enlighten me. What is this?
Did you not hear the first 20 seconds of the video?
No.
For
Matt.
shame, Matt.
Oh,
We're
no,
trying to
I
make
lost
quality
everyone now.
content.
Trying to fix
suck.
the echo.
Trying to fix it. All you gotta do is turn down the sensitivity. That's all.
I didn't know where it was coming from. Jakai, I'm not that smart. I'm not a smart man.
Listen, that's like trying to say that typing is a skill anymore. It's not. Anybody can do it. It's fine.
Hey, I'll have you know I taught myself how to type, and I'm very impressed. I went from learning to not how to type to typing about 40 words a minute.
And then I lost Nigel. What are you two doing? And I need my technical difficulty screen. I'm gonna have to make one for next time.
You really do have to.
I gotta make one.
Oh my god, just oh man. Can I let me wait.
Nigel's video is officially Kaputski.
Just do whatever.
Nigel, are you there? Nigel's dead. We killed him for good.
Yep. Can you not hear that? Can you hear that? Just gotta have some good technical difficulties. Did you have to? Are we still recording?
Jeez.
Yeah, I assume Nigel doesn't want me to quit recording, so I'm still
Yeah.
recording.
We're okay. You can keep recording. Push come to shove, I could edit it out. Anyway, I swear to God, anytime I can get everything to run, but if anything changes in the room, my shit just fucks up.
Well,
if it's like,
are you blaming
like,
me?
I'm not. I mean, yeah, a little bit.
Oh,
Because it was immediately after you like disconnected, my camera just stopped, and then when you came back in, my shit was like, you ain't running. Fuck all now, boy. It ain't fucking happening. But anyway, to get back fucking into it, Groomer, Matt, do you know anything about it? Do you know anything about the OK Groomer meme going around?
no, I don't.
All right.
Can I?
So, do we all know what a groomer is?
Yeah, I take my dog there every month.
I know what it means in reference to the gay community, but I assume it's the same connotation.
Oh shit.
Yeah, kind of. The right is mostly using it as like a pejorative to the left. Honestly, I feel like it's really just like a clapback to the whole like everyone's a Nazi kind of thing, and like anyone on the left calling everyone who is a little right a Nazi. And they just found that it's effective, and so they're just kind of sticking with it. But for the most part, they're thinking like you're someone in a position of power who is grooming children ideologically, so that the next generation of voters will only have your ideals, right? And you want to try and remove the parent from this kind of ideology. And it generally comes around from where like James Lindsay talked about it, where he was talking about like in schools they'd post things up like the gender unicorn and shit like that. And he was essentially going, this is not done science. This is not like finished. This is still like up in the air. This is not something that you can sit there and you're trying to impress upon young kids that about like the gender differentialities and like and all those kind of stuff like that. So
So
that's what they're talking about.
Okay.
according to my stellar research, that is knowyourmeme.com. Nah, I Googled it and that's what came up. But I love that there's a website called knowyourmeme.com. Kind of fits what you were just saying there, though.
Mm-hmm.
And it looks like it kind of got really some liftoff from the Don't Say Gay bill. But anyway,
Yeah.
it says was a slang term used to refer to an adult who wants to explore or abuse impressionable children, either sexually or otherwise, typically by building trust or an emotional connection with them.
Mhm.
The term predates the internet and various usage, such as grooming a successor. It began seeing increased use around the late 2000s onward the web.
Yeah.
The term notably saw the large surge during the March and April 2022 amid the prolonged internet battles over Florida's Don't Say Gay.
Don't say gay, Bill.
So it's just
Yep.
grooming kids, right? It's essentially what they're referring to is grooming kids, what, based on their sexual identity?
Sexual identity, all sorts of stuff. Go ahead, Jake.
Okay,
Well,
so
I
that's
was
a
just
groom.
going to say that, like, I think that's where, like, grooming, I can't do air quotes with my left hand, apparently, started.
Why the
is-
apostrophe, Jakaya?
is like in the game community where it first started as being like a media thing, but now like especially in reference to this video, it's becoming more like a political stance thing as well, like grooming people to have your political ideologies and stuff like that as well.
Mm-hmm. That's where I first saw it. Matt is right. I did see it. I did see a lot of it pop up around the Don't Say Gay bill, because that was the kind of thing where they were sitting there, because that's the strongest point to the Don't Say Gay bill for the conservatives to, when arguing for it, right? Is they're just like, well, here's, we need to be able to teach these kids these things. And they're like, you don't need to be teaching kid. Like, what are you talking about? Like, this is just from kindergarten to third grade. You're just telling me you have to wait till fourth grade and then you can start teaching them whatever the fuck. So then the argument against that part of the bill started being like, well, why do you need to teach a kindergartner like masturbation? Like, what the fuck are you like? Why is that such a sticking point for you? And it sounds, when you really start pushing it, it does make whoever's arguing in favor of or in opposition to the bill, it does make it sound like, man, you really want to be around kids like way more than a normal fucking human being. What the fuck is your deal?
Well, I already have heartburn on the notion of having like people that aren't parents teaching kids that kind of stuff. Like, I think there should be an encompassed agreement with school boards about what's appropriate. That's why we have like sex ed and shit like that. So, yeah.
Well, and sex ed happens later than anything in the Don't Say Gay bill.
It
And
sure does.
there are problems in the Don't Say Gay bill. One of the things is the vagaries around
the fact that you're calling it a Don't Say Gay bill, because it's not a Don't Say Gay bill.
Well, you're right, it isn't, but that's just how everyone colloquial understands the bill.
I
can't sit there and say like Florida Statute 48212, whatever.
That's right.
Um,
Way to fall into line.
But
Don't say gay. Look, you did exactly what the left wanted you to do. Remember that bill is called the Don't Say Gay bill.
I'm down for it just simply because I'm pretty good at arguing shit. And so someone was just there go like, well, it's not the Don't Say Gay bill. I'm like, you're right, it isn't. I am always willing to just go like, that bullet, I'll bite it. It's fine. I have no horse in this race.
Well, when I first heard that there was a Don't Say Gay bill, I looked at that. Oh my god, he did that? And I said, no, he didn't. I'm like,
don't do that, Jakaya.
Clearly.
Jakaya was just like, he just like flexed, and I just saw him go like.
Now, when I brought my hand up, I hit the pin in my finger, and it really hurt.
Anyway,
so I didn't know it was a Don't Say, and I looked it up and said, wait, they don't say that at all. It's
it
not
doesn't say gay anywhere in the bill. It doesn't say anything. In fact,
that just pissed me off, and then I realized they were just doing it to be assholes. And so, fuck you guys.
Well, I don't know about that. The premise is there. Like, it's not literal, but the idea, the intention is there. I don't think that
We'll
it's
have we are getting into the weeds.
You're right. You're right.
We'll have it. We can do a whole video where we read through the entirety of the Don't Say Gay bill. I'm completely fine. I have that bitch saved because I live in Florida, and I was like, let me read into this bill. And there are things that I'm like, yeah, this is obvious and apparent, and this is fine. I personally think a lot of the issues over the Don't Say Gay bill are really exaggerated, but there are parts of the bill that I looked at and I went, probably need to be a little bit more precise in your language here, and also, personally as a millennial, I would love for them to have, like, in reference to chapter 382 of the, Child Abuse Prevention Act in Florida of 1998 or some shit like that. Can you guys give me a hyperlink? Please? Because, like, that'd be real cool if you did, but they don't because they're fucking boomers. I'm like, oh, whatever. I can look it up later, and I just haven't done it yet. But anyway, more or less what Joe is saying is on Twitter, they're trying to remove the term of groomer from Twitter because people are going on there going like, it affects people, it affects outside of their online life. It can make it threatening for them to be in the community that they live in. They could lose their job, all sorts of shit like that. And I'm like, this sounds mega familiar to me from like,
So it's about a word that's triggering people and offensive?
Man, that's what Joe says. It's like, do you really care about grooming, or do you care that this is a term that is being used effectively against the left, and now that's why you want the word banned?
Just so we're clear, I do want to make a note about something you said that's like a little off-roady, but it won't be long. I think that it is exceptionally toxic that companies can utilize your personal social media against you. I think that should not be okay.
Yeah. I don't know. What if during an interview process, or what if you hired someone, Jakaya, and they were working at your store and you started getting reports from people like, hey, don't you know that that's the guy who threatened to lynch any black people that walk into the store? Right?
Like company defamation?
You'd be like, ugh, fuck, I don't know if I want this guy fucking working here.
Sure, but I still don't think, I think your personal social media should be off limits from companies. I just feel like it's a really fuzzy barrier to cross that I just don't really think is appropriate.
Actually, I do agree with him on this one because, but Nigel make a good point because there's a lot of issues we could have with something like this. I really feel like what the social media accounts with companies is not much different than a social credit score. Yeah, you think this way, therefore I don't want to do anything with you.
Yeah, I'm not saying I'm not saying that they ought to. I definitely think it's pretty scuzzy. But I can understand like there could be some circumstances that come up where it's like, no, I think a company probably has every right to fucking get rid of you. Because of your interactions online in a public space.
Yeah, right. Because a lot of times companies get pissed off when it comes to like company defamation and stuff like that. You're talking bad about the company. How dare you? But to the same point, I would say that should be okay, right? Because if the company is really good with their employees, then there should be nothing bad said. Whereas if you have a company that hires people that are strictly racist and they don't care, then they're just going to tank up because people are going to talk.
It's just a really hard blurred line between like, I know that you're posting in a public space, but it's a company invading into what is like sort of your private life. And I don't,
it only determines how you
like that line. You know what I mean? Like I don't like that.
Yes, I agree. I mean, just from our show here, right? I'm sure there is enough hours of me online just in our year of doing this that if someone was determined, they could like easily find me, find out where I work, and then start like trying to harass me. And and if they cause enough fucking shitstorm, I would imagine the company I work for would be like, this is not worth our fucking effort. You're fired. And which would be super shitty.
The company's probably already.
I agree.
Too.
Yeah. So.
Yep.
But yeah.
That was just a tiny little tangent I wanted to go on because something happened with an employee of mine where he didn't get a second job he was trying to get because he said something about like I don't like this ride at Kings Island, so he didn't get a job at Kings Island.
That's bugging right there.
Right.
That's
That's all it takes, right?
bugging right there.
Yeah. So it was pretty crazy.
Okay.
Crap.
All right. Let's see what Anna has to say about Joe's position. Remember, Joe's position, this is the important thing. Joe's position is, do you actually, like, instead of banning the word groomer online, how about we just, like, make sure there aren't groomers? How about we just make it very clear that we're not okay with grooming kids, you know? Because they're going to go a little off the rails here.
Joe Rogan doesn't understand why some people would have a problem with the usage of the word groomer, as the right wing in America incessantly uses that type of terminology to inaccurately describe people they disagree with.
Now, God, this sounds so familiar.
Nazi.
Oh
racist.
my God, yeah. Oh, you're right. Like that whole punch a Nazi campaign for a fucking while.
Anytime anybody disagrees with you, calling them a boomer, and calling them a racist, calling them a Nazi.
Yeah.
Nigel's like, I go to church on Sundays, and I'm like, Nigel, you're a fucking homophobe.
Yeah, you know, weird. I don't. Yeah, but yeah, I mean, you know.
I mean, like,
God,
I know that was pretty extreme, but like, it feels like that. You know what I mean? Like, it really does.
Oh, it can totally feel. I have straight up had 2 of my relatives go, Nigel, you're a fucking Nazi, and like mean it. And I'm like, if you think I'm a Nazi, like, bro, you can run my credit. I'm good. I'm the most, like, I'm the Nazi you want if I'm the fucking Nazi. Okay.
Mr. I want to protect free speech. Mr. I want to make sure that people have their voices heard. Apparently loves to provide cover for right wingers who immediately go out of their way to defame people as groomers when there's no evidence indicating that they're groomers. But he's good friends with Alex Jones, who had no problem defaming the parents whose children were gunned down in Sandy Hook. So I guess I shouldn't be surprised.
By the way, Joe Rogan got up Alex Jones' ass. They actually had a huge fight about that. Joe Rogan did not defend Alex Jones in any way on what he said about Sandy Hook.
I've seen Joe Rogan with so many. I didn't know. I don't. If someone were to say, "Hey, you know, Joe Rogan did a video with Alex Jones," I'd go, "I'm not fucking surprised," because he does videos with fucking everybody. So I
won't lie. His first Alex Jones podcast is probably the most entertaining fucking 2.5 hours online. It's fucking
one
wild.
I think I saw where Alex Jones has got a screw of papers on a desk or something, and he's just flipping through folders and shit.
Oh, dude, it gets so. I can't even. I don't even know where to begin. It's insane. It's a trip. Fucking take some time. Listen to it. You will do nothing but fucking die laughing. It's fucking amazing.
I think the most interesting one, and I don't want to get off too far, but was with Mr. Beast. I thought that guy was a piece of shit, and then I watched Mr. Beast and went, oh, he's not a bad guy.
Nah, Mr. Beast is a sweetheart.
Yeah, it's really upsetting.
Yeah.
I think it's really funny that she started off trying to like attack Joe Rogan for like she was trying to say that like, oh, Mr. Free Speech, like he's not using his free speech to call people groomers. Like
Well, or that he's literally on there going, hey, how about we not censor words?
Right.
That's pretty goddamn free speech.
But like she said it in a way that's like he's contradicting himself, but like he's not. The logic is still following.
Yeah. Absolutely. This is their building of that Strawman. They're putting the hay together right now. They're getting some twine.
What color eyes do you want? I want a brown. Fine, let's make it brown.
I bet you want blue eyes, you racist fuck.
Yeah, you want a mustache
straw
too?
is probably blonde, isn't it? Isn't it? Anyway.
Oh shit.
So, as you guys can see, Joe Rogan went
You've
on
got
a
crazy
rampage
eyes,
because
yes.
he had a right winger sitting across from him. So, of course, he had to get down on his knees and fillet him.
Hold on, I have to stop it right here. Channel member, executive producers, Xenodragon, the gay as fuck dragon, AJ. Phenomenal name.
I mean,
10 out of
young,
fucking
I
10.
want to know who the gay as fuck dragon is.
That's a fucking great name.
All right, go
Oh,
on.
him as he does when he has right wingers on his podcast. And he just decided to completely misrepresent why it is that some people, myself included, have a problem with how that word is used. Not a problem with the word in and of itself, but
looks
how
like it
that
has a
word
problem
is
with any
used as a
word.
tool politically to intimidate, to shut down, to shut up any political opposition to right wingers in America. That is the problem.
Oh
Let's hear
my-
more from his ridiculous.
Oh my fucking god. Oh my fucking god. That's literally, this is like some sheer hardcore projection here. I don't like the way that this word is used to shut down different political ideologies online and slander them as such. This is literally the projection of the whole fucking Nazi thing.
It is. It's literally like to change out the word groomer for Nazi, and it's the exact same. It's the same thing.
Oh my fucking Christ. And they're trying to stand on this thing of like, oh, well, actually, it's free speech. Like, what the fuck? If this is where you think like the free speech is being attacked, then you fucking assholes have been trying to massacre free speech for the last fucking 6 or 7 years.
For sure.
Argument. Let's listen.
As an argument, someone who I think is an intelligent person say that there should be a block against using the word groomer.
Unbelievable.
No, there should be no groomers. How about that? And this is what they wrote. They said, not all teachers are groomers, but a lot of groomers are teachers.
There you go.
And that's real. Constantly.
Real quick as an aside, that whole not all teachers are groomers, but a lot of teachers are, but a lot of groomers end up being teachers. I tried finding some like hardcore statistics on this. There's one statistic from like 2004 from the US government and like I won't lie, some of those numbers sounded absolutely insane, like even crazier than like the 1 in 4 women will be raped in America stat. So I just couldn't.
Are we assuming, or maybe not assuming, is the definition of groomer intentional?
What do you? I mean, yes.
Okay. Well, here's why I ask, right? So, like, especially when it comes to teachers, right? You spend a lot of time with your teachers. You get close with teachers. Shit, I went to an anime convention with one of my teachers and her kids, right? Like,
Sure.
So, like, you probably have discussions that might be slightly inappropriate, that are political based or whatever. And if you really like that teacher, maybe you start to research things from their perspective because you like that teacher and you have now heard their stance on something, right? So, like, are we? Is that considered grooming in this context, or is that more like happenstance because that teacher is a human being operating in a society? Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do see what you're saying. I mean, I think what Joe is talking about here, there's a cut in this, right? Like, this is not from the very beginning of the video, and then they paused it like we pause it.
Right.
And then continuing on the conversation exactly where you left off.
Right.
And I think, like, I think this is where he probably transitioned over to talking about, like, actual sexual, like, abuse.
Right. I would like to point
but I
out
mean,
that just real quick, Matt's camera just went off and yours froze same time. You were right. Anytime anything happens, it
fucks me up.
But yeah, I was just curious because I just want to make sure that we are pinpoint on exactly the type of arguments or discussion that we're having, because like I assumed that we're using groomer as intentional, but I just wanted to make sure we're there because like you rub off on the people around you is what I mean to say, right? And I don't know that I would consider that grooming. Oh, there went Matt. I'm all alone. There's no one here beside me.
No, am I back?
Jesus.
You are.
I swear to fucking God, Matt.
I didn't do anything, I swear.
I swear to fucking God, Matt.
but what I was saying is like, so like, you know, there's a difference in grooming somebody and just like you rubbing off on someone because you spend amounts
Yes,
of time
there
with
is.
them.
Grooming tends to how do I want to say this? Grooming implies a level of intent.
That's what I
Right?
thought.
You don't like accidentally groom someone.
Okay, right.
Right. You tend to be intentionally moving someone into a certain position, or you're kind of sectioning them off from like the normal group and using your authority as the lever to do so.
So you're
Right.
telling me church is a grooming institution. Hello? Can't tell if dramatic pause or doesn't speak anymore.
Well, now I don't know if it's kill me again. He's gonna yell at me. You watch, here it comes.
You did
Daddy,
did turn your camera
Daddy's
on.
gonna be so mad at me.
I don't know how you fucking things up interacts with his Discord negatively.
I don't know, but it's pretty funny to me actually. I'm sorry.
Hateful.
I'd love to hate it. Oh, it hurts so good. Bam.
What do you think? What do you think on just basically what we've seen so far? Nigel's a lot better at like moving the conversation forward than I am.
Sure is, man, but I mean,
God.
oh, thank God.
I swear to fucking God, man.
Oh, I called it. I called it.
Told you he was gonna be mad at you.
Motherfucker.
Oh, I said, oh, Daddy's gonna come back. He's gonna be so mad.
Everything works just fine.
It's gonna be like,
Nigel, you missed my pivotal fucking like shitty comment.
Go ahead.
I really
You were describing groomer. You were describing what a groomer is, and I said so.
What I
religion
left
is grooming, right?
Yes, to an extent, yeah. And that's in my opinion what is actually the better conversation to have. I personally believe that the public education system is not actually designed the public education is not designed to make my son the next fucking Elon Musk.
Right.
It's designed to make all of you motherfuckers complicit in the society you exist within. Like, it is a cultural fucking meshing tool. That's what it's actually for.
Yeah.
Right? And religion is outside of people who are like legitimately really religious and all the stuff like that, right? Religion, when you break it down, is just the foundation for society later on, right?
Sure.
Like, and so yeah, in the more interesting discussion to me is like, what level of grooming do you find acceptable? And right now, we're getting to a point in America where I think personally the real thing that's happening is people are getting to kind of like this thing where it's like, this level of grooming not acceptable. You fuck right off with this, which is normal.
Yeah.
It gets into those borderline kind of illegally things that kind of muck the waters a bit.
It totally can. Yeah, like too much grooming definitely is fucking illegal. Yes.
Well, it comes off as a little pedophilic too.
But any on that note, actually, this thing that was brought up where it was, not all teachers are groomers, but a lot of groomers end up being teachers. There was the 2004 study that was like crazy high, almost to the point where like I can't believe it, right? Where it's like 76% of girls when they go through public education will be groomed and will be sexually abused. It's like 76%. Like, what the fuck? Like, that's a fucking lot right there.
Big fucking number.
Yeah, that's no longer the 1 in 4. That's 3 in 4 people, and the 1 in 4 was insane. But I did find, and it's from Fox, and I won't lie, they don't link it very well. But it does appear like they have a bunch of fucking cases at the bottom of this article that they reference as such. but they don't have like a hard here's where we got all of our data. But they're reporting that in 2022, at least 135 teachers and teachers' aides in the U.S. have been arrested this far on child sex-related crimes, ranging from child pornography to raping students. And then, you get around to, I think it was a 2009 study that was brought forward where, they're reporting that it says about nearly 9.6% of students are targets of educator sexual misconduct sometime during their school career. So, I mean, like, 10%'s pretty high. I've heard this brought up in the past where people say, like, we all look at the Catholic Church and how much of a piece of shit it was about, like, how it handled sexual misconduct to fucking children. But, no one talks about, like, how bad it is in schools. And I don't know. Maybe it's true. Something I have to research more into.
For sure. I mean, everything can get kind of beaten up, and I think it's what people are really afraid of, is it going that far or that level.
It's so hard for me to grasp that, just because, like, not only did I never see it myself, like, I never heard anybody talk about it. I never saw any women who felt threatened by teachers. Like, I don't know.
I actually remember one teacher in our high school that the rumor was that the reason he was in the position that he was, because he wasn't, I'm not going to say his name, but it was the guy that was at the door every day in our high school, Jakaya.
Yep.
The rumor was that he used to be a teacher, but he got knocked down to that position effectively because they found kiddie porn on his computer.
Wait, hold on. I really hope that they only caught wind of slight rumors, because if they had some hard evidence and still let homie keep his job in a school.
No, you'd be amazed, Jakaya. It's a union. Like, those are all union gigs. There's actually, like, Sean Fitzgerald from Actual Justice Warrior just did a story on, like, 3 teachers in the New York school district that were straight up, like, they were proven to have, like, molested a couple kids, and they were not allowed to be fired because they had, like, tenure and it was a union gig. And they're still being paid.
This is why I have very serious concerns about the fact that, like, the left is like, we need to unionize, because, like, there's one hand where, like, I think the corporations need to stop abusing us as workers, and we need to have a resolution.
No fight there.
We need to have a resolution to that. But modern unions are not the solution. They are toxic, shitty cesspools of fucking
corruption,
just greedy ass corruption, and it's awful.
Yep.
The only 2 things that I have seen unions do are keep shitty employees and get us good health care. That's it. That's it. That's what I've got for you. Like, I'll take.
I've seen them totally fuck over junior employees at the exclusive benefit of senior employees.
Yeah. And I don't know if this might get us, like, in trouble, but, like, I still take serious issue. I will never work for UPS ever because of the fact,
won't get us in trouble.
Because of the fact that, like, the Teamsters pushed through a union contract that we majority downvoted, but they cited that not enough union members voted, so they pushed it through anyway.
Yep.
And that was why I quit.
Yeah, didn't they essentially do, like, anyone who hasn't worked here longer than X amount of years? They essentially did, like, a fucking, like, 3/5 thing.
Well,
like,
so
there was, like, you only count for, like, a third of a vote, motherfucker.
Well, pretty much, they basically say that, like, because it's rotating so much, they only like, because UPS does have a pretty high turnover rate, so they only count, like, some people that have been there, like, a year or something like that. But you're not even part of the union until you're there 90 days anyway, right? So, like, if you haven't been there less than 90 days, you don't even get to vote. But the point is that we had majority downvoted it by, like, I think it was like 52 or 53%, if I remember correctly. And they didn't care. They were like, not enough union members voted. We're pushing it through anyway. What? What the fuck is it? What? Why? You're not representing me clearly.
Yep.
Hello?
Yep.
So I don't want to work for a union ever again. I think that all it does is keep shitty employees and creates a toxic relationship between employees, company, and the union.
Well, that's why the Young Turks, Cenk Uygur shot down the union that that the workers of his company tried to make.
I do think that the idea of a union makes sense, but modern unions don't work. They don't work the way we want them to.
I agree.
Yeah. Same.
I agree.
And I like the fact that you use modern unions, because I can't imagine they were always this bat shit, but they have certainly gotten.
Well, I don't know. They used to be run by the fucking mob.
I mean, I know.
Well, they got the job done for workers back in the day, though. That we can definitely say is true, right?
As long as you paid your fucking fee, yeah. If you didn't, you might get really fucked up.
That's why they called them scabs.
Jesus. All right.
Yep. Anyway.
Teachers are getting arrested for exposing themselves to children, for masturbating in front of children, for sending nude pictures in front of children. Every couple days there's a new one that pops up in the news. And how many of those people haven't been caught yet? And how many of those people are out there? And how many of those people are doing it under the guise of I'm an LGBTQ educator?
I actually know the story he's talking about.
When you surround yourself with people who fearmonger about educators and the LGBTQ community.
So that is where I will say Joe was wrong. I'm pretty sure I know the story he was talking about. And that wasn't a public school worker. That was someone who ran I won't lie, it's real fucking weird. And honestly, I would be if like one of my son's like kids' friends, you know, like their parents were like, "Oh, we sent him to this little sexual activity retreat." I'd be like, "Yo,
hold on.
What the fuck?"
A what?
So it was this story about this woman who was a teacher, and she ran like a exploring your sexuality and sex, like private. You had to go sign up for a class. It was not attached to any school or anything along those lines like that. Where she has some pretty radicals idea about like sex and gender. And it is a weird thing when you start getting into those like papers, because they start getting into territory about like, well, you know, children explore their sexuality at a far younger age than we normally think about. And we think you should talk to kids about that. If you see your 5-year-old grabbing his dick, essentially, right? Like maybe you have a conversation about like, what is masturbation? It's like, or maybe you tell your kid, hey, quit fucking grabbing your dick in public. You know, and it's like, and we have graphs and images that we show, and we talk about our masturbation experiences with kids, and it's like, hold the fuck on. What the fuck did you just say?
Robert Kellogg tried this back in the day with cornflakes, baby.
Yeah.
And a little bit of chemical castration, but calm down.
I'm pretty okay with discussing like sexuality with young people, because I think that children knowing that like straight isn't the only way is an important thing for them, especially in modern times. But we're treading in some real fucked up categories here.
It gets weird. There is a lot of problems, I will say, Jakaya, and this may sound like one of the most homophobic things I've ever said, but there are, I would be very concerned if at my kids' school I started seeing like a gay straight alliance show up, because there are a lot of stories, that come from like the teachers who are running the gay straight alliances currently, where they come out and they're like, "Oh, we're doing like outside of school activities and shit like that," and then you go, and then like videos start surfacing of what they're doing out there, and you're like, "Hey, hold the fuck on."
So like, but here's the thing, like none of that stuff makes any sense to me, right? And here's why, right? So like let's assume I'm a parent. I'm not a parent right now, but let's assume I am, okay? What I would want my kid to be receiving in school for positive gay representation is some books that just feature gay characters, right? Some, if you have a gay straight alliance, it's a fucking like some gay kids and some straight kids that play soccer together. Like, you know what I mean?
That's what you want, but
Right, like so, like
that doesn't happen all the time, and I've seen enough of it. It's very concerning.
As a gay person who, if I were to have a child, like I would want gay people to be expressed as normally as straight people, right? Because like one of the things that does irk me that I see a lot of is like people will say, "Oh, your kid's not young enough or not old enough to know if they're gay." But yet when your 7-year-old is like, "Oh my God, I have a little girlfriend," you're like, "Oh my God, that's so cute." What? Why is it cute if they have a straight relationship but not a gay one? Like
they take it seriously.
Right. I take pretty like serious like issue with that.
No, I mean I think the parents that look at like so I've done this joke with Leon, right? Well, you got a little girlfriend, of course. Leon doesn't know what that means, and I say that in joke passing, but
right.
And I know exactly what you're talking about, and I agree with exactly what you're saying. And I think in part of it is like when parents say that about their son meeting a girl and having a quote unquote girlfriend, I don't think it's meant with any bit of sincerity to it. So they just say it, they don't think much of it. But of course, when it's your son and a boyfriend, you're like, the fuck did you just say?
Right, exactly. Well, and what are you impressing upon them at that point, right? You're impressing upon them that like having a cute relationship with the same
sex. And it is
hypocritical
because you're and I get the hypocrisy that you're stating too, and I do laugh. I don't really have an answer for that because that was interesting because I would be jarred.
Right, absolutely, right. You know, and there's a Kevin Hart joke about it that I think is really funny. And you know, he's a gay person. I still think it's funny where he's talking about how like his son, his little baby son, is like grinding on another boy, and he walks up and he doesn't know what to do, so he just bops him on the head, and he's like, "Stop it!" You know what I mean? Like, so like,
which, by the way, Kevin, is an appropriate thing to do if your little kid is grinding on a girl.
Sure, like, right. But the joke is that it was another boy, right? Like that's the crux of the joke, right? So, but ultimately, my point is that like I cannot fathom where these people are getting these ideas of like, let's introduce our kids to masturbation and have these. No, all of us normal gay people, all we want. Excuse me, I know I just called a bunch of people out there not normal, but all of us normal gay people, all we want is for you to embrace homosexuality and maybe even, you know, like trans or whatever, as just normal things, right? Like, I want my kids to see children's picture books that have like 2 dads and 2 moms, right? Like, so that you can have a conversation about the fact that like some families are different than others, right? Like, that's what I want. I don't need whatever creepy nonsense you people are doing. I just need you to treat homosexual families and couples as if they're normal. That's all.
I mean, I'd be okay with it. I'd be fair with it. And I think it's funny because when I think of like, because I'm heavy on the radar with whatever my son consumes in books and literature. And it's funny that you mentioned like, you know, the straight couple or like the characters that show like, as a quote unquote couple, maybe they don't say it, but they certainly illustrate it as such that these are a pair.
Right.
And you'll never get the same illustration or narration from 2 boys, except beyond that they're just friends. And so that's the end of the story, right? And I get the, and that's a weird one. It's a very strange one for me too, because in one side, I totally get that I could, as a dad, kind of explain to Leon, like, well, why are they close together? It's just what they like. But the question, I guess, then for me would be like, when is that appropriate to explain it, right? Because I don't think that
I have the answer. I have the answer. The answer is as early as you are comfortable with explaining that a mommy and a daddy love each other. That's how early that it's comfortable. That's the answer. Like, and I'm saying this in my mind as an absolute. If you are comfortable saying because a mommy and a daddy love each other, then you should 100% be comfortable saying because a daddy and a daddy love each other, or because a mommy and a mommy love each other, right? Like, that is how early that comfort should exist, in my opinion.
It makes sense. If I think otherwise on that topic, if I think, no, maybe I've had the conversation with mommy and daddy, but I don't want to have the conversation with daddy and daddy, does that make, well, I don't want to put my name out there, but does that make the person slightly homophobic, you think?
Sure, I don't think it makes them maliciously homophobic, but I think
I'm not trying
it
to
would make them...
something. I'm curious because
no, absolutely.
On one side of me, I'm like,
this is not me. So the problem is I would argue that yes, it is homophobic, but I don't think it's the kind of homophobic where it's like, fucking Matt, I can't believe you're such a homophobe.
Hey, let me bridge the gap here. Okay. the thing is Jakaya, myself and Matt completely understand the mommy loves daddy thing, right? But if it's like, well, what about these two guys? We're out of our depth, bro. I don't know.
Well, and it's
I
funny
don't know what to
too.
tell you.
Like,
It's a conversation because I know for me it would absolutely be. And listen, I'm actually pretty fucking knowledgeable of the LGBT community. But it'd be sitting there, and if it's like literally, if I get kids ask a lot of fucking questions, and so if it's like, oh well, there's just a daddy, the kid's got two dads, and it's
I know
totally
I've
cool.
said that with Leon as well. Where
It's
like,
no
hey, I'm
big
not
deal
gay.
or whatever. And then if you asked literally any follow-up questions, like, well, how the fuck does that work? I'd be like, no fucking idea, dude.
Oh yeah.
Not a clue. Not a clue.
But
And
we
if
have
I give you any more information, I'm gonna fuck it up. I don't know. Ask
Well, but,
Uncle
like-
Jakaya about it. Don't look at me.
But like that's actually okay, right? Like knowing
Yeah.
that you are ignorant is okay, right? Like that's not I
Sure.
take no issue with that. What I take issue with is when people are totally okay with, like, let's say a children's book that represents a mom and a dad and their kid, but they're completely not okay with a dad and their kid, or a mom and their kid.
Yeah.
That is
Yeah.
where I take issue. That's all. I just want gay couples represented as normally as straight couples, and for people to stop pretending that, like, putting gay couples in media, and I'm not talking about in the creepy way. I'm talking about literally copy and paste the straight book, but with gay characters, right?
Yeah.
Call it a children's book. There's no excuse for that not to be okay in my mind.
No, I would agree with you.
That's all.
I think it would
That's
even
really it.
even further to be fair to leave like the sexual identity out of it too. So like say Superman for example. Like I don't know. Oh, Jesus, I'm probably gonna get burned for this one.
Well, no. We're gonna stop. We're gonna pause it there because we're getting in the fucking weeds.
Yeah.
We're getting so far in the weeds.
Yeah.
It's a good conversation. We're getting so far in the weeds. And I don't want to get fucking triggered because I fucking love Jonathan Kent and they fucking ruined that character.
Oh, trust me, I get it. I would just rather leave him neutral so that because I agree with Jakaya in the sense that it should be as normalized as possible. I just think if you keep it neutral, then I feel that either party could make their own conclusion to whatever.
No.
But
No,
God
the
damn it!
weeds.
No, no. We need
Next.
a whacker. We need a weed whacker.
Next, more
Oh
on
my
this
God.
crazy ice lady.
Seriously, all of a sudden you believe all these little fantasy stories about teacher, like the prevalence of teachers serving as groomers within the public education system, because that's exactly what happens. All those powerful teachers, all that good pay, all those benefits they get, they're so powerful. They use their position of power to groom kids. No, look,
Yeah.
I don't.
Teachers actually get
I
paid
fucking
pretty
hate
good.
her.
I fucking compared to a lot of other fucking people, teachers get paid pretty fucking good. I fucking hate
Dude,
that
No,
shit.
they do.
specifically what he's referring to is like every couple of days there's a story of a teacher doing this or that. The teacher is masturbating in front of students. Not only should he or she be fired, they should go to prison for that. Okay, no one's disagreeing with
Hey,
him on
I
that.
agree with Anna
But let's also
Kasparian.
talk about the fact that Joe Rogan spoke to one person who allegedly told him that he or she doesn't like the word groomer. And he's now decided to needlessly make a blanket statement about everyone on the left wanting to ban the use of groomer. Let me just be
Can we talk
abundantly
about
clear
how
right
many
now.
blanket
I don't
statements
care
the
about the
left like to make?
existence of the word.
It's a lot.
It's a whole lot.
It's a whole fucking lot.
Like she's using a lot of like I don't know, targeted trigger phrases or something like that against him. That like the left does the same thing. They do the same shit. I mean, let me just not even target this. Everyone does this. They all just pretend they don't.
Hang on a second. This is the same woman. I'm gonna send you a link.
Real quick, and I don't know if you can I don't know if you can pull this.
Do you want me to play it on the podcast?
Yeah, because it's good.
Are you gonna put it in the chat?
Oh, I am gonna put it in the chat.
Okay.
I'm finding the. Fuck. I'm not gonna be able to find it this quick. Anyway, this is the same woman who straight up was like, you know what? If you voted for Trump and you're a woman, you're right. I'm better than you. I am better than you. And I know I'm better than you. talking about those blanket
He
statements.
looks
there,
like
Hannah.
that kind of person. Not that I wanted to be super judgmental.
She's terrible.
Talk about some next level arrogance. Jesus.
Super much. I'll find it and I'll post it on the fucking. I'll post it on. If anyone watching this, I will find that clip later and I will upload it onto the fucking channel, or at least I'll post a link somewhere in the channel where you can find it.
Put it in the description.
Yep.
Word groomer. I do care about how it's used specifically to get innocent people fired, innocent teachers fired, by the way, who might see that they have a gay student, who might have a transgender student, and they want to create a welcoming and comfortable environment for that student so they don't feel like they're out of place. They don't feel like they've been disenfranchised in the classroom. And the right wing will point to teachers.
Well, how is a teach? That's part of the problem, is that I, as a parent, would not trust a single fucking educator that my son has dealt with at this point to make that claim.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I just straight up wouldn't. I'd be like, yeah, you sure about that?
You're a teacher.
I don't know. I don't think you're right. Right? And so she's going into the idea, like, is it appropriate for a teacher? And I mean, it may be, right? But I think it's wildly over assumptive to imagine that, like, a public school educator would be the one to sit there and be like, oh, I know this kid's trans. I know this kid's gay.
I think that I think that it's a really weird topic because, like, especially, I don't know if this is still the case considering, like, acceptance is a little higher, but I'm sure that in the past 50 years, there have been plenty, I'm talking plenty of LGBT kids who are more comfortable with their teachers than they are with their parents. Sure. And that's part of the thing.
I was more comfortable with my teachers than I was my parents. In fact, I had a really bad relationship with my mom and my stepfather when I moved up here to Mass.
Right.
I was talking to, like, guidance counselors and all kinds of shit.
Which is why I think that I don't have a kid, and I understand that, like, having that many people meddle in raising your child is, like, really fucking scary. But sometimes
it's like you taking your dog and showing you how to train it.
Sure, but sometimes teachers get more information than we do, right? Sometimes they really do.
Sure.
Maybe they don't see your kid as much as you do, but sometimes they're given more information or given information in a different light than what you receive as a parent.
Sure. I mean, Jakaya, you're the gay person here, so I'll ask you.
To be fair, who's responsible for the
did you feel that your mom was she shocked when you were like, "Mom, I'm gay"?
No, but I did not.
I didn't figure she was.
To be fair, I did not make a lot of effort to hide it because I had a really accepting family. I had an aunt that was gay. My mom was pretty cool, you know.
Jakai's a pretty well outlier too on this.
Did your mom ever tell you, like, she knew at some point or something like that?
She never gave me, like, one of those, like, I've known since the day you blah blah blah. But she's like, yeah, I mean, like, I know, it's fairly obvious, and I'm like, all right, I mean, I get it.
Yeah, I was hoping she would tell you were born gay, but fuck, that ruins that theory.
To be fair, I fucking hate you. To be fair, I was in love with my best friend in high school. It was really hard for anyone not to know that I was gay.
Well, but I remember you came out, I think it was like 8th grade or something like that.
Not to my parents. I didn't come out to my parents till I was in high school.
Yeah, because I remember, fuck, I can't remember if I was there or if someone else mentioned, like, did you hear that your guy was gay? And I was like, uh-huh.
I mean, most people, because, like, but that's it, right? Like, so that's it.
Cool.
Not that my mom
did they serve chicken, or did they have pizza today? And fucking, like, that's what I came from.
Not that my mom didn't know, because, like, I'm sure she figured it out. But, like, that's the point, right? Is that I was more comfortable talking about it at school than I was at home, and I had an accepting family, right? Like, I had a mom that was my best fucking friend, so, like, I had no real reason to be afraid. It's just one of those things where all gay people are like, I don't know if I want to tell my parents this.
Sure.
But, like, so, in the instance of a child who does not have an accepting family, their teachers may have more insight than them. But that gets into, like, arguing about less about, like, whether the teacher's in the right and how do we get those kids into healthier, happier homes, et cetera, et cetera. So that conversation becomes a very different conversation.
Well, yeah, and even then, I think it would be... the question becomes very easy if there is a kid who walks up to a teacher and goes, hey, I'm pretty sure I'm gay, right? Because then they're like, oh, all right. But in the situation of like, this teacher may see a kid and know that they are gay or trans, like that to me, at least from what I'm hearing her say, right? And this is me inferring what her intent is because I don't think she makes it clear enough. But um that in my mind elicits like a kid walking in and then a teacher going like, I'm pretty sure that's a gay kid and I need to take care of them. And it's like, that's a fucking jump. Right?
Yeah. I mean, based on that, that's pretty. I think that's a little toxic in and of itself.
If I had a teacher come to me or a counselor come to me and be like, well, we think maybe your son is might be trans, I'd be like, where the fuck? Like, you're gonna need to fucking lay out one hell of an argument for me here, bud.
Right.
Because I don't think you know my kid at all.
Right.
So.
Well, I think this also has right, because two things came into mind. It's like, one, I don't recall me ever going through the motions of school and having to discuss with a teacher how to be with a girlfriend. Now, of course, this is wildly different because
that would be pretty weird.
Right.
At least
well,
for me.
and when we're talking as far as, so it never happened, right? So I went about my life kind of just fucking around and finding out. But this is different when it comes to gay because some people are really nervous to come out, really, really scared to kind of talk to people. And like Jakaya is saying, there really wasn't resources or information to kind of like, maybe you're confused, maybe you're curious, maybe you're not sure. Whatever the case may be, you are at where you presently are.
Mm-hmm.
And so the only thing I can think of that would make sense on this is that even if you're confused, or even if I wouldn't even say confused, right? Because confusion is to say that you're wrong. Supposed you're just like, I don't know how to approach this, right? Isn't that what we have guidance counselors for? Not teachers?
You're
If you need
supposed
someone
to.
kind of talk to, if you need someone to kind of like, work some shit out,
I think we're getting a little off track here, but I will leave this question in response to that. How many of your guidance counselors did you truly feel were competent? Because 50% of mine maybe.
I didn't. Hard to say because I didn't go to my guidance counselors looking for answers. I went to them as a punching bag.
Sure.
I had some issues and I just let off some steam, and they were really cool. They kind of told me like, "Hey, I felt good after."
I felt that my guidance counselors were often not qualified enough to do anything.
Essentially, what I'm hearing is that Massachusetts schools have some great fucking resources. because I mean, I won't lie, Matt. Like you're telling us about your experiences and such, and it's almost completely incongruous to my experiences at school. But it could very well be that in Massachusetts, like it's just a better it's a better school system. I mean, me and Jakaya grew up in Lebanon, Ohio, baby.
So like, if we talk in like Montgomery, Pennsylvania, that was a shithole. But like, I'm not gonna lie, like going into high school, because I left Pennsylvania right at the end of middle school, and then I started my freshman year here in West Springfield, Mass.
Mm-hmm.
And that school just got a massive overhaul, and it looks like a college campus now. Before it was good. I thought it was really cool. They added a new science wing, right? Yeah. There's police that patrolled the staff. There was 2 doorways to get into the building, and there was the receptionist desk in between the 2 entrances. So I thought it was pretty well secured. And they had police patrolling it. They had like 2 cops. There were just like local cops that were just hanging out, and they were really cool. One guy had a lazy eye, and he was an ex-boxer, so he said must have got a hit. He played along with the joke. But it was a really good school, and like, I mean, I'm not gonna say like the resources on it are fantastic. I'm sure there was issues up and down and shit, but they had some pretty decent programs at the time that they were doing it. I mean, dude, I took a tax class.
Oh
yeah. Yeah, it just sounds like your school was like pretty compared to what me and Jakaya had.
Yeah, I would argue that we had a couple of really good teachers. I know Nigel and I don't know if we want to name drop good teachers, but we had a history teacher that pretty much was universally loved. He was really great
fuck
dude.
it, I'll name drop him because he was the shit. Mr. McCarty was awesome.
I didn't have him for history, but I had him for psychology, and
that was like the only dude though.
Yeah. Well, I also, like I got close with my science teacher who I really loved. I think she could have done better as a teacher, but she was a really great person. I think we had a couple of good teachers. My French teachers were really cool, et cetera, et cetera. But I think that our administrators were some of the worst I've ever seen. I think they were really terrible people that didn't give a fuck about anything. and nobody liked them. It wasn't like I didn't like them. No one liked them. Even most of the teachers did not like them. Like, it was that bad, and it was that big of a disconnect between, like, the teachers and the administration. It was really
Dude,
bad.
I still to this day live with the joke of the mispronunciation of my name, which I will not do, and Jakaya, you should not do online, okay? Because the mispronunciation of Nigel gets real racist real fast. That was our assistant fucking principal that did it over our fucking intercom. I was like, Jesus, dude.
Yeah,
Like,
it wasn't great. It wasn't great.
Yeah.
I almost said it 3 times.
I truly believe that our administrators were really bad. I actually liked one of them. Like, we had a principal and 2 vice principals.
Oh my god.
One of them I thought was an okay guy, but I just couldn't.
Oh my god.
Anyway, back to the video.
How do you derive to?
Dude, it's bad. It was bad. When I moved to Cincinnati and like friends would come down, and then that would be like a joke, be like, "Yo, you can't be doing that shit." Like, hey, you can get me beat up.
Teachers like that who foster a loving and welcoming and tolerant environment and say, groomer, that person's a groomer. That person is actually nice to a group of people that I hate because of my theocratic nonsense. I hate them. I despise them. So I'm going to call those teachers groomers. They use the same thing, by the
way. It's just building a straw man, really. Like,
yeah.
Joe Rogan's statement is that he framed it as such to where it's like, you have some teachers here. We're seeing stories come out about teachers where they are grooming children. And like, listen, we shouldn't be talking about how the word groomer is bad. We should be talking about like, hey, is there a fucking problem in the education system in America where apparently there's like a lot of grooming going on and sexual abuse? Right. Excuse me, sexual abuse happening. And she is now framing it as, you're completely wrong. All teachers, well, she said a little bit earlier, like, if you do have a teacher who's like masturbating in front of children, so they should go to fucking prison. But she's framing
that's where we draw the line.
Yeah, well, yeah, I know, right? That's where we draw the line. When you whip your dick out, that's it. Everything prior to that, listen, it's just questionable. But like, she's framing it as though like, well, we have this teacher who is this really nice teacher and sets up a really welcoming and accepting and everything about the LGBT community and all sorts of stuff like that. And it's like they're just this shining angel floating down from above for gay kids, right? But the thing that, you know, like, that same teacher could be a groomer, right? It's like that's the thing that's coming in. It's like, if you have this teacher that is like pulling aside these minority students and, you know, all these things, and you have like this power dynamic that's going on, I think it's appropriate for someone to go, hey, just checking in, you're not like fucking my kid, right? like what's happening here? Like, there is a certain level of oversight that is required, and it seems strange that I'm hearing this from people on the left, because they're normally the big people who talk about like differences in power dynamics that can end in sexual abuse. It's like, it can happen.
Yeah.
Just because they're really cool and they're really accepting to LGBT kids, like, it doesn't mean they're all floating angel saints coming in. And that's part of the straw man she's setting up, right? Like, that's the twine wrapping around. It's like, well, they're not actually bad. They're just really helpful to LGBT people. And they're getting ready to burn the effigy that they made of Joe Rogan.
The way, well, when it comes to anyone who holds a political view that differs from the right wing, they're groomers. This is QAnon garbage, which unbelievably has now expanded to the point where the guy with the largest podcast in the country has fallen victim to their nonsense and repeats it on his show. Okay, Joe, let me help you out, okay?
Help him.
Joe,
help him, Anna.
I suspect you're a groomer. I've seen your stand-up. I've seen your specials. You make some jokes I don't like. And so I think you might be a groomer. Let's start a hashtag. Is Joe Rogan a groomer? Groomer, I think you're a groomer. What? You don't like that? You want me to stop calling you a groomer?
She really does have crazy.
No,
eyes.
he won't be offended by this
like,
at all.
So
that's the difference.
It like, honestly.
Yeah, like Joe wouldn't care. Joe would sit there and say like, well, you'll have a really hard time proving that I'm a groomer.
Right.
Because Joe has spent the last 7 or 8 years now being called a fucking Nazi by these people, and it fucking guess what? You've tried to cancel this motherfucker like 10 times.
Like,
It won't stick. He
and the
just made
most-
$100 million.
and the latest cancel they tried to get him on got him an extra bump, 2 million people. So
Yes.
they're making him more famous by doing this. It's funny as shit.
Yeah, like maybe the guy with the largest podcast online is just speaking things like I know it might seem crazy, guys, but maybe he's saying the shit that the
Hear me
most
out.
people are like, like maybe he has the normative position. I don't know.
It hurts to watch.
Okay, can we acknowledge hashtag Cenk was right?
That's Hassan's uncle, by the way.
I hate this fucking prick.
He's a right winger. He got guest captured, audience captured. He got whatever it was. He got mind captured.
Sorry to pause it again. I still just love the idea that people frame Joe Rogan as like this super conservative right winger.
He's
When
not.
he's
He's
like
more liberal. He's actually openly recently said he was liberal.
Well, he voted for. He had Bernie Sanders on his goddamn podcast. He's
had everybody on his
super
podcast. I don't think
pro
it's
fucking.
podcast.
He's super fucking pro drugs.
Yep.
Like he's
Yep.
super pro drugs. He's pro universal
Dude,
fucking healthcare. He
pro
lived in
weed.
California most of his fucking life.
Yeah.
Like it's like he's not much of like, and he argues with conservatives quite a bit.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. Recently, he said he was like leading liberal on this shit. So
He's always leaned very liberal on
Yeah.
almost everything. You don't have to look further than the time that he brought Steven Crowder on and they got into a fight.
did they?
Yeah, honestly, Joe seemed like a real fucking dickhead on that because he totally ambushed him, bringing up like marijuana and specifically, but
Hmm.
Joe came off looking like a real dickhead, but like he went after Crowder hard.
I think you've told me that before, though, is that when marijuana's involved, Joe kind of becomes a d-bag.
Oh, his fucking the fucking chimpanzee running on a wheel inside of his fucking brain just comes loose, dude. Like,
Yeah. Because I've seen a few podcasts where people are like, "Oh, you smoking?" He lets people fucking smoke in his show, and you know damn well he does as well. It's whatever.
Yeah, well, it's legal in Austin. He just went and got a card. He was like, "Yeah, I'm free to smoke here. It's totally fine. Fuck it." And you know what? I'm so wealthy. If you want to fucking throw some marijuana charges at me, I got a lot of good lawyers to get me off.
Yeah, no shit.
So,
And so look, let's break it down. It's super simple. He
super
says
simple. Let's go.
People are trying to block the use of the word groomer completely.
Who?
Not
Yeah,
true.
who?
Yeah, not at all true. He made that up, okay? And where did he get it from? Guaranteed it was one of his right-wing friends that told him that, and he doesn't think, so he thought, oh, that must be true. They're trying to block the use of the word. No, Joe, it's very simple. The question is it true or is it not true? Not whether the word should exist or not. So that goes to Anna's point. So if you have a teacher that's actually a groomer, for God's sake.
What was Anna's point?
Yes.
Okay.
Out him. Let's fire him. I know it's cancel culture. You right? Cancel. Oh, sometimes it makes sense to fire people, right? Yeah, of course. If a teacher is actually a groomer and is hitting on the kids, of course you should fire him, right? We all agree to that.
Okay.
I don't know because you might then turn around and call it cancel culture. Okay, so
No. Cancel culture is not firing someone for them committing a fucking crime.
I believe it's a felony to be specific, but yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Well, then again, didn't Jeffrey Toobin from CNN not get fired though? Lupin Toobin still got a job.
Yeah, like it's not cancel culture. That's like a complete mischaracterization of what like the common person would consider cancel culture. No one would say no one said Jeffrey fucking Epstein was cancel culture. No one said Harvey fucking Weinstein was fucking cancel culture. Right? It's like, oh, they committed a fucking crime. Like, get fucking rid of them. Like, what the fuck are you talking about?
All they're doing is using trigger words to stir the pot. That's it. That's
It's
their whole thing.
this is that building of that strongman, right? So they started off with like a cutout snippet of Joe's position. And then they built a little bit. They mischaracterized his initial position, and now they've built upon that initial mischaracterization of the position. So we've gone from, oh, Joe's anti-free speech, to Joe dislikes the LGBT community, to Joe now doesn't understand anything that's currently going on, and that he is just a talking head who gets fed lines for the conservative, for some right-wing person, and he is a complete and utter moron who, you know, it's they built this straw man, and they're just setting it on fire now.
Right.
But if doing that, and if they're just like, for example, the example you gave, LGBTQ, and you call them a groomer when they're not, can you not see how terrible that is? How you're defaming them, how you're smearing them, and you're doing it based on who they are. You can't see that that's a terrible phenomenon? Okay, then I agree with Anna. Look, Joe Rogan does a podcast. There's a lot of young people listening to that podcast. I don't know if he's sleeping with any of them. I don't know if he's doing the podcast to groom them. So,
to be clear, I think that even I don't know this for sure. I don't watch a whole lot of Joe Rogan, but I can imagine that even Joe would be like, "Yeah, calling people groomers who are not is also not good."
Yeah, he has actually not said in anything that they've shown that he has called anyone a groomer.
Right.
All he has said, his position is instead of pushing to remove the word groomer and considering it like an attacking word or some kind of term that like vilifies someone or defames someone, how about we not, instead of attacking the word, we attack the people who are trying to fucking groom kids. That's all he said.
Yeah.
Sure that Joe Rogan's not going to mind him being called a groomer of young children because he doesn't want the word blocked. Do you see how stupid that line of logic is? And the answer is he probably doesn't.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, he doesn't. He doesn't.
I would actually disagree. I imagine he completely understands their line of logic, and he would just go, listen, you can call me whatever you want. It's not going to stick because I know I'm not X, Y, or Z.
So let's help him out. Let's help him out. Because, I mean, apparently outside of his...
God damn, the crazy eyes are strong.
He's completely unaware of where the real groomers reside. So let me help you out, Joe. Let's talk about the real groomers. Let's talk about the fact that it's the right wing in America that is forcing women who have been raped to carry to term that rapist baby.
If this bitch has been divorced like 4 fucking times, I guarantee fucking see it.
I knew someone was going to say something. I'm so glad I paused it right at the right time. I don't know if she's been divorced or not. Jesus, can you imagine the guy going like, I'll marry this.
When we did the relationship podcast, because she sounds like an entitled woman.
Oh my God. Oh, I look at this and I just think like, fuck man, this bitch, like if I ever do anything wrong, she's going to beat my ass.
This one?
She looks like she's Amber Hearded.
Hard enough.
Like people watch, if anyone's actually, I think most people just listen to this, but if anyone's watching this, I keep turning away from my camera because I don't have Jakaya and them on the screen. I just watch the video so I can pause it easier and stuff like that. I actually feel like uncomfortable having her just stare me the fuck down like this.
To be clear, I also like every time I look over. So like I have you. That's you always see me looking over because I have you guys over here and I have the video.
Yeah.
Here. But like when I'm looking, I'm like, damn girl, like
piercing my fucking soul.
Right. With raw hate too, right?
Like fuck, dude.
You are filling me with rage, and not like I'm angry, like you are siphoning your rage into me.
Yeah, you are injecting your hatred like into my fucking bloodstream. It's uncomfortable.
I've never hit a woman. But I really want to fucking hit her. Like, if we had a conversation, it wouldn't be a waste. Because, like, every time... Okay, so I have you guys on this side of my screen.
How long of the video are we in, Jakaya?
Probably not long enough.
Not very long.
No. I mean, like, our video.
Our video? We are at hour 1 and 24 minutes.
Okay, good. No one's made it this far, so go ahead, Matt.
Oh, fantastic. No, it's okay. It's short and sweet. So I got you guys on one side of my screen monitor. I got the video on the other half, right? So I've been just fucking eyeing this cunt down, and it's like every time she talks, and I'm like, dude, I really just want to like smack her across the fucking head and go, who the fuck are you talking to?
Yep.
Like the whole
Yep.
time, I just like because like Shepard gets snippy, right? He'll like we right in the nose. Stop it. Or Barrett. He's a fucking year old and he's grabbing my coffee cup and I'll take his hand and go, stop it. I want to just go there and go, the
Well,
fuck are
you
you
spank your
talking to?
kids. Wow. In 2022. Wow.
That's
Oh, are
it.
you kidding me? I have
CPS is on their way.
No shit, yeah.
We have we have it on video, Nigel. Get him.
Got
The whole thing, a year of it, long con.
Even Leon gets his fair share too.
Wow.
Hey man,
No,
I'll put it out
stop.
there. Here's my hot take on children. They're a lot more like dogs than people want to admit.
Dude, they really fucking
I say
are.
that my dogs are like 2-year-old kids all the time.
They're right on.
Mm-hmm.
You know what the first word I taught? You know what the first word was I taught my baby? No.
No. It's a good word.
Could you imagine how powerful that word is?
To school, when you send your kid to school and there's all these fucking LGBT groomers, he'll know how to fucking handle it. No.
That was toxic, Nigel. Let's watch.
Maybe if someone like her starts talking, he can just go, no.
Let's watch Crazy Eyes a little more.
Okay. Oh, who cares? Who cares if she got raped? It is the right wing in America, which has historically and probably till this day justified.
Oh my god, I just realized what we did. She talked about fucking women being raped and being forced to fucking carry children, and we just immediately started degrading her, a woman, for her fucking appearance.
Great.
Oh,
fuck. We are pieces of shit. Anyway.
Listen, when it comes
Poetic.
to a specific crazy person, I'm okay with it.
Yeah. Misogyny is not 100%.
Delicious.
Marital rape. They don't think that a wife can be raped by her
if
husband.
she was a man, I would think she was still crazy, right? Like
Shank's fucking insane too.
Yeah.
Fuck.
It's not. It's not a gender.
I don't
thing.
discriminate.
She just
It ain't
happens
sexy.
to be a woman that's crazy.
Pieces of shit be pieces of shit.
Absolutely.
At the end of the day, you flush turds, man.
Okay, they've been defending that for as long as I can remember. It is the right wing in America that has consistently covered up sexual abuse towards students, toward children. In fact, I mean, let's talk about Jim Jordan.
Now, where's your evidence for this?
Up, allegedly,
about to say the same thing.
sexual abuse, sexual misconduct that was carried out by the wrestling coach when Jim Jordan was an employee at Ohio State.
Jakaya is our only current Ohio resident. Do you know anything about this?
I've never.
Jim Jordan, I believe, is your governor, by the way.
Yeah, he is. And I like Jim Jordan.
Did we lose Jakaya?
No, I'm here.
Okay. I don't have you up on my screen.
Oh, I shook my head. No, I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
Apologies. I forgot you weren't looking at me.
No, you're good. You're good. Yeah, I haven't heard anything about this either. I don't know, but she's saying allegedly, so that means it wasn't like proven or anything like that. I don't know.
I think she's allegedly an idiot.
Cover up the alleged rape, the alleged sexual abuse of a wrestling
Keep using that
coach.
word alleged.
Wrestlers were allegedly going to Jim Jordan asking him for help, and he basically told them to shut up. You like that, groomer? I mean, it seems like Joe Rogan likes to provide cover for those groomers, which makes me question: is Joe Rogan?
He basically told them to shut up.
Let me give you more. Matt Gaetz, a Republican
she just said
lawmaker.
that Joe Rogan is covering up groomers, except he's the one that says it's okay to use that word, meaning that he's cool with people being called out for being groomers.
Yeah, in fact, he wants people to be called out for being groomers. So, again, this is Matt. What we were talking about the last time we were online talking about like strawman. This is a strawman argument, right? I'm not actually going to attack what you said. What I'm going to attack is what I'm going to interpret what you said.
Right. Redefine. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, Matt Gaetz, I won't lie, that was some shady fucking shit, bro.
Is made by the Justice Department for paying an underage person for sex.
Yikes.
That is true. He is being investigated for that. He said that there wasn't any sexual activity that occurred. But it was pretty fucking weird. If I remember correctly, he was like, there was this girl that he was flying her around, essentially, and she kind of like Me Too'd him, I guess. But again, he's currently under investigation for that. So, Anna, someone calling him a groomer is now causing the effect of the Justice Department investigating him for potentially grooming a child.
Right.
Anna, this is what we want. I am pretty down the middle on most things, but sure, I'll take the onus of the conservatives. All right, I'm channeling NRA, anti-Planned Parenthood. I am currently Alex Jones. I think I am currently the animus for all conservatives in America. If Matt Gaetz did pay a child to fuck him, I want him put in prison. And I'm glad that he's being investigated. This is the world I want to live in. Okay?
You're fucking... Oh my god, I hate you.
This is the system at work, Anna. You're complaining about something that is functioning as intended.
17-year-old. Is he a groomer? I don't know. Is he okay with you? Apparently the problem is the LGBTQ community, okay, and the left for asking, hey, can you please stop defaming people who are not groomers as groomers? Can you please stop doing that? But no. Apparently it's the right wing can do whatever it wants, and Joe Rogan will always provide cover. They're always the good boys and girls. And the left, they're bad. They're so bad. I mean, if I could recall correctly, Jake, in terms of like,
Anna,
systematic.
Stop touching your fucking microphone.
I will.
Super distracting.
I will say one thing about this whole thing, and almost sort of on her side, but not really, I guess, is that like, can we stop punishing people just because someone says something about them, right? Like,
for sure.
Like again, like wrapping back around like the Johnny Depp thing. I know all that stuff just got resolved. Like, Amber Heard comes out and she's like, Johnny Depp's an abuser, and they're like, all right, he's fired. What?
Yeah.
What?
No,
and like,
I don't know when that became.
To her point, like the one thing that I will sort of side with her, like, but it's in a different way, because she's like, we're ruining these people's lives by calling them groomers. How about instead we stop ruining people's lives without investigating whether or not they have made these things, right? Like whether or not they have done these things. Let's stop. Let's like, somebody calls this person a groomer and we're like, yep, get him out of here, fired. What?
Well, and this is the thing. So this is where, yeah, like what she's saying verbatim right now, you kind of can't necessarily argue with, right? No one is okay with defamation. Right? Like I don't think Matt, are we pro defamation?
No.
Fuck yeah. No, I think it's bullshit.
Yeah. So no one's against defamation. And this is where the thing is, right? Like Joe is also not against not like pro defamation.
He's been the target of it, hasn't he?
Yeah. But this is where like they've altered his position in a completely different way, right? And like what she's saying verbatim, yeah, is true. But my problem with this is the Young Turks, you are not the people who get to fucking claim this moral fucking ground.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because you are the fucking assholes who've been defaming people since 2016.
Yeah.
Like,
well, I think I think the institutions have a bit of responsibility, because in one side I feel like there is free speech, you can say as you want, but I think the institutions, be it the ones that employ you, should have the right to maybe look into certain claims, right? Because that's what they should be.
Well, here's the thing: you call a motherfucker a groomer, we should be investigating. Period.
Yeah.
Right.
Period. Right. But like,
nobody
that person should not.
triggers.
But that person should not be fucking like treated like shit or fired, or really their reputation shouldn't even really be stained just based on a fucking accusation. Like, that's the real problem we're having as a society in general.
Yeah.
The Me Too's, the canceling, the groomer, the whatever. We keep wanting to fucking ruin these people based on a fucking so-and-so said.
Well, think of too, like the social media is literally the town square, and so if you have one person trying to just slander somebody in the town square, that's the point, right? And so it kind of becomes beholden of the person who's doing something that might put them in the bad light to kind of go, hey, I need to be careful. I have a personal or a professional reputation to uphold. So it's beholden of somebody to be cautious in what they're doing so they don't get blasted like that, because genuinely someone like batshit Magoo over here wouldn't have any reason to slander out Joe Rogan specifically had not, say, maybe someone like Joe Rogan came out. Now, of course, this is different because Joe Rogan had brought up something. He's famous, he's big, he's well known, so of course it would circulate. But for someone like, say, the three of us, right? We have to be careful with what we say or do because some things can be twisted out of context or put out in the town square.
Sure. There's not a lot more. Like, she's gotten to the more crux of her argument for the benefit of time. I'm just gonna say we've listened to enough. Like, we're just gonna be treading old ground at this point on this video, more or less. But yeah, I mean, I agree with what you're saying, right? There should be these investigations going on with people if the accusation comes around. And like, I have like 15 or 16 clips of teachers that I was going to put in one video for us to watch of like all these crazy LGB teachers who are going off their fucking rocker, right? And to be honest with you, I kind of threw them all out because every single one that I went and investigated, the actually like egregious ones that were there, and I'm talking shit like, I'm a teacher, and you know what? I got rid of my American flag, and we were doing pledges of allegiance, and one of the kids was like, "Oh, well, where's the flag?" And I went, "Well, I got rid of my American flag, but here I have the gay pride flag that you can pledge allegiance to," shit like that, which was like, all that kind of stuff like that, where they were teachers who were posting online about what they were doing that, like, to your normal person is like, yo, that's some fucking shit right there. You knew that would piss a bunch of people off. I threw out the whole idea for the video because every single time I looked into them doing some shit, every single time they got investigated, and every single time the administration went, yeah, you're suspended. You fucked up. Like, you fucked up. There were like one or two where essentially what the administration did is like, hey, you need to put out an apology because you fucked up. And they went, you're right. I fucked up. They put out the apology and they kept their fucking job. All the ones that got shit canned were all the ones who were like, I refuse to do that. And they were like, okay, well then you don't have a fucking job here anymore. Fuck off.
Congratulations.
And I looked at that and I was like, okay, this is what you want. This is what you want. Like, there's no reason for 3 guys with fucking 14 subscribers, or however many fucking subscribers we have on our fucking YouTube channel, to be bitching about teachers who have lost their fucking job because they fucked up and are not willing to admit that they fucked up. like we all know they fucked up. Any other school they fucking go to is gonna go, hey, aren't you that fucking teacher that made it on libs of fucking TikTok talking about fucking masturbating to kids? Fuck no, you're not getting a job here. Like, you can go flip burgers at fucking Wendy's. Like,
listen, I just get so upset, right? Like, I'm our hashtag homo representation on here, right? Like, and
you're our shield.
He's our gay liaison.
And I get so upset because, like, I want kids to be taught about gay people because I think it is really important. But then it just gets so fucking crazy that conservatives get to stand on their fucking pedestal and go, see? This is what happens when you give gay people the ability to teach fucking about being gay. And it's like, guys, stop. We just want them to know we're around. What is happening?
That'll happen over time, to be honest with you. I think it's more of a societal thing where it's just like,
bro, it has happened so fast. It has happened so fast, in my opinion. I'm like, holy shit, dude. It went from like me and Jakai would walk down the fucking street, and occasionally someone would drive by and like their truck and go and yell, they're like "Sag!" and then like take off really fucking fast. To like now where it's like, Jesus Christ, man, like I can't watch a fucking TV show without seeing like half the cast is gay. I feel like it's overcorrected. Where I'm like, there aren't that many gay people, guys. Like the entire cast is not gay, I promise.
Well, and like I think normalizing a lot of these things is so important because again,
No, I agree.
I know that you guys wouldn't care as much, but like I saw an Indeed ad that kind of made me tear up, and it like gave me goosebumps. I loved it. I was just watching fucking TV, and it was an ad that popped up, and it was a non-binary person trying to like set up for an interview, and they were reading they read a guide that was like tips for interviewing as a non-binary person, and then they get to the interview process, and like they're really uncomfortable, and the person is like, "Hey, my pronouns are he, him. What pronouns do you, or are you comfortable with sharing your pronouns?" And the person smiles real big, and they say, "My pronouns are they, them. Thank you for asking." And like it's just a cute moment, right? And like that's it. And I think that shit is so great because all you're doing is showing people that like it's okay for us to be comfortable and like do this, right? Like I know that this like there's a lot of other things involved in these things, but I think those simple, sweet like, hey, these people exist and they're people too, are the important parts, right? Like I think that's what matters.
Yeah, I would agree. I think I've talked to you about this, Jakai, where I think like Neil Patrick Harris is the best representative for the gay community ever.
Right.
It's like, well, I'm just like a normal guy. I got a husband. We got a couple kids. They're doing great. I'm an actor. I played a bunch of straight guys.
Right. Every time I forget who that is.
Not only straight guys, he played Barney fucking Stinson.
A misogynist. I mean, I think he's like a phenomenal representative for the gay community. Like that should be your king.
It just hits me. It just hits me in such a weird way that like I'm like, yeah, we need gay representation. All these people are like, yeah, let's do it crazily, and I'm like, whoa, guys, why do we need children masturbating for them to know that their sexuality can be more than straight, right? Like,
and why is it not okay at that point for the parent to then be like stepping in like, if you're around my fucking kid, I'll kill you.
Right.
Like I'll fucking murder you.
Because I'm
That's a restraining order.
Because again, Nigel, we have discussed this, right? And this works for like feminism and stuff like that too. If you can apply the same logic to a straight person in a room full of straight kids and it still be fucked up, it's a problem.
Yeah.
It's a problem.
There was one of the videos from that video that I trashed was actually from a gay straight alliance that came about, and they had like an after school drag show where they had this one kid who was like, the one kid that's up there doing the drag dance and shit like that. And like it's sexual enough where I would be like, yeah, this is pretty uncomfortable. And people are like, well, they're just up there doing a dance. And I'm like, if your daughter was part of like the cheer squad or something like that, and they went, oh, we had your daughter who wanted to, mind you, like they wanted to do this. They went up and they did more or less like something pretty close to like a strip tease for the fucking chess club or something like that. I think it's okay to feel that that's inappropriate. And I would also feel that that's fucking inappropriate. Just because the kid is doing drag does not make it okay all of a sudden.
Well,
if you had your daughter up there doing that, that's also... Didn't we just have, like, not that long ago, like, a big deal in college sports? Where on college sports, they were like, you know what? We have a problem with how we show our cheerleaders and the dresses that they wear. And we're going to change that. They're now wearing more long sleeve shit. We're not focusing on them nearly as much. We're paying attention more to the crowd, and we're paying attention more to the game, and we're not doing zoom in shots of fucking cheerleaders in college. Right?
They've killed Hooters.
Sure. Well, and I mean, like, so that was like one of the only videos that was like, this was not remedied, in my opinion. And I think the people who had criticisms of this were completely okay. Because that was the thing where they were like, well, it wasn't a school activity. It was after school, and it was just this club. And I'm like, but you had it on school grounds, Everyone was from this one club from the fucking school.
Right.
And your stated reason, the person's stated reason for doing the drag show that they did was to help freshman students in the high school feel comfortable with their sexuality in school. It's like you can't tell me it was supervised by a goddamn teacher.
Why do you need a drag show to feel comfortable in your sexuality?
Dude,
I don't think you do.
I
think
don't.
you're doing it for something else.
Yeah.
I think you're doing it for your own entertainment.
Well, and so let's even take it from the aspect of like this teacher or administrator, whatever, had perfectly good intentions, right? Like maybe they're not grooming. Let's assume that maybe this is what they thought. In my mind, that's just a really poorly informed fucking person who is impressing upon these kids sexuality in a really unhealthy way.
Yeah, well, and I would actually agree. Sorry, I'll let you go real quick. I actually looked into that, and I believe that was the case with the teacher.
Right.
It's just like, you're an idiot, and you really had no idea how bad this would look if this video ever got out.
Well, it's like teaching people. It's like teaching people to be gay based on tropes, right? Like, this is what makes you comfortable in your sexuality by admiring tropes, right?
By being very overtly sexual,
right? By being the stereotype. What? Stop. Yeah. That's not. Stop.
Yep.
Like, you would think events like these would be screened and scrubbed by faculty staff anyway. And that's what's baffling too, is they just give these people free rein to make these kinds of decisions, and so they just go.
The kids were like streaming it. That's how it got out. They're like, "Oh my god, this is so great!"
Well, I will say
but if you're doing a drag show thing,
I mean, here's the thing, man. I don't know that I agree with you that all these things should be run through administration. We had an anime club in high school. I don't think most of that was like, it wasn't like she had a day-by-day fucking planner that was like, this is what we're doing this week in the anime club. Like, I don't think it was like that. But and
even if she did, I doubt they'd sit there and they'd look at it and be like, "Oh,
watching
Rurouni Kenshin, eh? I don't know what the fuck that is."
Right. Oh, you're watching Boku no Pico today? That's fine. That sounds good.
But I mean, for like a talent show or something like that.
Right, Nigel. Nigel knows what I'm talking about.
That'd be some. Well, yeah, fuck, man. When you told me what that was, I was like, Jesus fucking Christ! Listen, I'm changing my position on Lolicon real quick.
We've discussed how anime is not okay. It's not okay. But anyway, my point is
how Japan got us back for the bombs.
I don't know that it needs to be like specifically monitored. What it really like. How are you an administrator and you don't know what's appropriate? Like.
Well, to your point, right? So say you have somebody who's incredibly naive and well-intended, right? So if he went to like, even if he had like a faculty team or a staff that says, hey, even if they got together and was like, hey, okay, we don't give a shit about your book club. We're just doing books. Fine. Hey, aren't you guys doing like a dance event, come Friday? Yeah, what's that all about? Well, we're doing this and this and this. If somebody had a flag in that room, 5-6 people in the room's like, yeah, this is what we got going on. Somebody might go, what's it about?
True. Absolutely.
And then it's like, oh, okay, well, I'm not going to shut it down, but do you mind if I have maybe somebody wants to pop in and attend from the staff?
Yeah.
And then if they have an issue flag, it's like, you can't do this. This ain't going to fly. That kind of stuff might be a better safeguard for these types of stupidities, and also prevent the more nefarious.
It's so crazy to me how quickly the line can get crossed and people not realize they've crossed it, right? So here's another thought on that, right? So like, let's say kids are doing a drag show, but all they're doing is basically a fashion show, dressing up in a bunch of clothes. Okay,
sure.
Some people might not be okay with that, but in my mind, that's okay. Once your kids start crossing into making it very sexual, I think as a teacher, it's your responsibility to be like, hey, whoa. Like, we're just here trying to have a good time. You guys are being a little inappropriate. Maybe we should tone it down, right? Like,
that's at the minimum what as a parent, that's at the minimum what I would expect a teacher to do.
Right.
And I would be like, hey, I get it. They're teenagers. They can get away from you, right? Like, they're clever little fuckers. But, like, you just let it go.
Well, and there's also a lot of blurred lines, too, because, like, we went to high school dances, right? Like, we danced pretty fucking inappropriately. So, like, I don't know, where is the line where you're supposed to stop? And, well, I don't mean you and I mean we, the students.
You get a phone call from like
I went to one dance exactly.
I went to like all the homecomings. I went to prom 3 times.
I went to prom 3 times too. I had 3 different dates.
Yep.
Sophomore, junior, senior. Yeah,
Those
I did my own
phones.
Bro.
I went freshman, sophomore, senior.
Yep.
Sophomore, junior, senior.
But yeah,
for me.
but like so. You know, I don't know what the level of monitoring is supposed to be because, you know, we danced pretty fucking inappropriately at dances, but like I just feel like the context is really different, right? Like you have all these people in a club sexually dancing, like I don't know, it just feels weird.
I think
let's remove any sort of gay from it even. It's still weird, right? Like it's
right. I think it's actually pretty simple, right? To some effect. Because like if the faculty's job is to report anything sexual mischievous, let's just call it, fine, do that as such. As a parent's perspective, if I get a phone call from my son that's doing some like mischievously stupid sexual shit, depending on the age, I may or may not give a shit. If he's a teenager, 16, 17, doing some dumbass shit like that, I'm gonna go, you're a fucking idiot for getting caught, right? If you're a lot younger and it's still with another kid, I might go, where did you get this idea? But it's from another student, then I know the fault resided either in my son or the other student, not the teacher.
Yeah.
If it's coming from a teacher, I still want the notification because then it becomes a different situation. So like,
well, if it comes from a teacher, I want the notification more.
Right.
Exactly. Because if like to your point, Jakai, is like, well, you were in proms and you guys did a lot of sexual shit in proms, like fine. That's
when I say
kind of
what
you.
I just mean inappropriate dancing. To be
well,
clear,
I know that. No, right. And I completely got what
you. If we were allowed to do that, I'd have probably gone to more dances.
Because I won't lie, like I've done some crazy shit in limousine rides to proms. Like I get how this whole game rides out. You know what I mean? And then of course the dances get raunchy as fuck anyway, right? But that's to that point, right? Again, those things are kind of expected. If I was a teacher and they say, "Oh, do you see those two? They're bumping and grinding," I'd go, "They're teenagers. That's probably what's going to happen from time to time."
Well, and again, like the setting.
Tell them to stop so you don't lose your job. You know, you should probably stop that so you don't get fired because this is on you. But, you know, should we remove them? Probably not. This is what happens.
Well, and I will say this too: like if things got too graphic or whatever, a teacher probably would have.
I mean, yeah, if you're whipping your dick out, yeah, you're fucking done.
No,
right?
I don't even mean that graphic, right? I mean like if you go from like, "Hey, we're dancing," to like, "I'm all up in it." You know what I mean? They're probably gonna be like,
"Yeah,
hey,
you gotta stop it. You're a teacher. Right? Like, okay, it's dodgeball. We're playing dodgeball, not baseball. Get the bats out of the game. What are you fucking stupid? Like, that's how the dance goes. So you do it that way. It just depends on who's. I guess causing the infraction.
Yeah, but that scenario being like a teacher that's basically like, "Yeah, guys, get up there, do your dances." Because again, it would have been a very different scenario if when it started to get too sexual, the teacher had gone, "Hey, whoa, like guys, we're here to play dress up and have fun, but you're being a little too far. Let's bring the energy down a little bit." I think that,
and frankly, that wouldn't have been a bad. It would have been more responsive from the teacher or the person setting up the event to, like, if they had flagged a student kind of taking it too far, to okay, do the event, have a great time, and at the end of the day, maybe get that student's name, you know, maybe chat with him, say, "Hey, what was up?" And then maybe
she knew the student very well. He was a long-term member of the
Well, I know, but it would have been nice to have had like maybe them notify the parents, like, "Hey, you know, we had an event."
I legitimately think that the teacher just didn't think it was that bad.
Right. Well,
in that scenario, she
I believe it.
She went like, "Well, I didn't think it was that bad," and it's like, again, almost anyone, right? And I don't even think it wasn't like the worst thing in the world, right? But I would also be I use Jakaya's metric for this, where I was like, if I saw a female up there and she was doing the same dance for a crowd of students at the fucking high school, I'd be like, what in the fuck is going on at the school? This is like some fucking 2000s fucking high school movie.
Right.
Like bullshit right here.
Everybody's a fucking 30-year-old actor.
yeah, and you got like chicks walking down the fucking high school like practically fucking nude. Right. It's like it's been a while since I've been in high school, but I know for fucking sure like that shit would have gotten somebody in trouble.
Just yell at your kid at today's age. Like, what do you think you are, Britney Spears? Get the fuck over here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've just thought
I
like
don't even know what the fuck that is.
whenever I think of something that is like sexist or homophobic or racist or anything like that, like that's the metric that I've grown to use. I've seen it online a couple times, but I think it makes sense, right? Apply the logic. If you have an issue with something a woman is doing, apply the logic to a man. If it no longer bothers you, then you're being sexist.
Essentially. It's not a perfect scenario, but it works well.
No, it does work pretty well. It's funny. It's this is why I mentioned like about being slightly homophobic because, and I'll take some slap on the wrist on it because it's kind of new for me to consider as a parent, right? Because I only have an 8-year-old,
Sure.
and to apply, but again, right? So to apply the logic, if I can have the conversation about mommy and daddy, then I can have the conversation with, daddy and daddy, whatever. And I still find myself incredibly uncomfortable to have that conversation with Leon. And I think it's in part, see, we've never actually explained how, like, as far as I'm concerned, Leon thinks that babies come from storks, even though he watches National Geographic, and National Geographic don't pull punches. Like, you know what I mean? But he hasn't connected 2 and 2 yet.
Well, and
So I just kind of go,
so
so maybe that's my
And
excuse.
Leon's like
But
8 now, 7 or 8.
he's turning 8 in
Yeah,
August. Yeah.
I mean that's normal.
Right. No,
Well,
I don't have any interest in having that conversation.
I think the
Yeah.
world,
Not
like, so the world is changing on comfort levels on having those discussions, but I don't
Yeah.
think anyone who is operating in good faith is going to fault you, who is a dude who grew up in a society with parents who probably had some of that more alpha male thought processes, and you say, hey, I'm not there yet. I'm not quite comfortable with the
part of me,
father and
right.
father conversation. Like,
Well,
do I
yep.
want you to be comfortable with it? Absolutely. Do I think
Yeah.
that you're fucking a shitty person because you grew up in a society that doesn't have those conversations and you're not at that comfort level yet? No, I don't think you are. I think what would make you a shitty person is if A, you put zero effort into trying to be different, or B, you were outright shitty about it, right? Like that's when you would be a shitty person.
I think the conversation is funny, and I think the conversation to get into, like, talking why does that boy like that boy, I think is inevitable in today's generation. This is why I think, like, I don't think it's necessary to have to normalize or treat people that are gay normal. I think it's just happening through society. I mean,
Absolutely.
our generation is kind of the launching point of it being normal, and then just wait to see what our kids end up going through. This is going to be what it is. And this is where I'm not really 100% if, like, okay, I know that having the conversation about, a boy liking a boy to my son is very uncomfortable for me right now. But I also find it rather uncomfortable to talk about a boy and a girl. Like, I don't want to talk sexuality with Leanna about that at all. Doesn't want me to live with daddy. Well, yeah, I kind of get pit trapped into that corner because he gets born into that environment. So I kind of have to explain.
Right.
I can't just say she's bitch is my roommate because I get in trouble for that. So, real quick off the cuff, yeah, that's mommy and daddy. And why do you got I like your mother. She's fine.
She's fine.
So, I get pitted into that conversation rather quickly.
I need
but
to ask Dana what she sees in this man.
Oh man.
Everything. She's got 2 kids. She's been with him for fucking ever.
Guess what? Oh shit, guess what? Okay, so that's super good news.
Actually, Jakai, I'll tell you exactly what it is. I was on deployment with this man. It's like this. It's like a fucking baby
Not even close.
Before we get into extra external conversations, let's go ahead and call it a day on the episode.
Yeah. All right, guys. Okay, yeah, let's just wrap it up there. This is Scream Walls podcast. We appreciate it. If you all learned anything,
if you
drop
survived
a like.
this long, you're fucking crazy.
Thanks for staying for our rants. You guys are awesome.
Yeah. Go watch other podcasts. Some of them will go way longer than ours.
True.
It's wild.
Actually, pretty good. I watched last week's or last 2 weeks.
Bye, guys.
Last week.